Good morning, class.
Good morning, sir.
So, in the last class, we discussed about the Fresnel bridge and the Lattice mirror. So, we saw that in the both the interferometers, the Fresnel bridge, which is made up of two pins, is wave front splitting interferometer, and also the light mirrors is behaving like a wave front splitting interferometer. And the fringes which is formed in the inner batting is similar to the Young's double slit experiments because both are making two coherent point sources. And then in the last mirrors also behaving like two, that there are two coherent sources and then they are getting into the force and we are seeing the interference pattern. But in the last interferometer, the interference pattern is complementary to the Young's double slit experiment because in the place of the maximum, which is in the Young's double slit experiment, the lights mirror we are getting minimum, and at the place of the minima we are getting the maximum. And also we see that in the lights mirror interferometer, the interference pattern only we see in the above the mirrors because there is no light are reaching to the screen below the mirrors. Because all the light is reflected in the upper side. There is no reflection or there is no propagation of light in the bottom side of the mirror. And also we see that in the large mirror at the center of the mirrors, or we can say that at the edge of the mirrors, we are getting the minimum. While in the case of the Young's double slit experiment, at that position we are getting the maximum. And hence the maxima and minima condition, the large interferometers and Young's double slit experiment, they are just opposite to each other. Means minima condition will be maximum, maxima condition will be minimum. Because in the large interferometer, we are getting the extra pi phase difference, extra pi phase shift in the light which are reflected from the mirrors. Okay. So these are the summaries on the last class. Now today we are going to discuss the types and the localization of the interference fringes. Types and localization of interference fringes. Okay. So types of the fringes depends on the which kind of fringes is going to form. It depends on the depending on the which kind of interferometer we are using. So as we can see that we have discussed many interferometers such as the Michelson interferometers, large interferometers, double slit interferometers, and Fresnel Backlund interferometers, then wave shift interferometer, Wilson string interferometer. So we have discussed many interferometers, and each interferometer gives the different kind of fringes. So the types of the fringes we are meaning that whether the fringes are real or virtual. The fringes are real or virtual. So how we will find that whether the fringes are real or virtual? So we can see that if the two coherent sources which are superimposed and they are generating the interference fringes, if we can see that interference fringes on a screen, fringes can be seen on a screen by themselves. We don't need any other device to make the image of that fringe on the screen. Automatically, the pattern is forming and we are putting the screen and we can see the fringes on the screen by themselves. Then the fringes are real. So it means the fringes are the rays who are they're going to superimpose and going to form the interference pattern, the rays are going to converge. So it means that the rays are converging, in nature. That's why they will get the produce the interference pattern on the screen. Suppose our fringes are the virtual fringes, then virtual fringes cannot formed by themselves on a screen. We cannot see the fringes on the screen, the virtual fringes. Okay? Because virtual fringes always their forms basically at the infinity. Okay? So to see the virtual fringes, basically they are formed by the rays which are diverging in the nature. So virtual fringes are formed by the rays which are diverging in nature, and hence we need uh, some types of device to make the to form the image on a screen. If you want to see that image, virtual fringes, so we need any lens or any device to see to project the fringes on a screen. So for that, we need a focusing system. We need focusing system that will project these fringes on a screen. So you can see that the basic difference between real and virtual fringes are basically real fringes are the form of the rays which are converging in the nature, and the virtual fringes are formed by the rays which are diverging in the nature. Real fringes can be seen on a screen without needed any extra device or any focusing system, while the virtual fringes are since they are converging and they are going to form at the infinity. So we need a focusing system to project the fringes on the screen. We cannot see the virtual fringes directly on the screen because they are diverging in the nature. So these are the basic difference of the types of the fringes which we have seen in the many interferometer we have discussed so far. Now we are going to discuss the localization of the fringes. That is the this part, localization of the interference fringes. So the localization means that first let's see the localization, localized fringes and non-localized fringes. So there are two categories, localized fringes and the non-localized fringes. So basically the non-localized fringes are real and exist everywhere within an extended region of space. So means non-localized means the fringes we can see everywhere in the space in the three-dimensional space. Suppose if you take the example of the Young's double slit experiment, so we see that the light propagates spectral difference from the two point sources. They propagate, okay, and then they superimpose like this, and we see the interference pattern all over the space where the light will be propagated, okay, in three-dimensional space. So in these types of, if we see such kind of interference pattern where one can see the interference fringes all over the space, all over the three-dimensional space, Whether we are putting the skin at this point, then also we see the interference pattern at this position, at this position, at this position. So these kind of fringes are known as the non-localized fringes. Non-localized fringes, and we see anywhere are in dimension. Okay. They are not, the skin can be moved at any places, and we can see this fringes. That fringes are known as the non-localized fringes. And non-localized fringes are generally produced by the small sources, or you can say the point or line sources. These are the line or point sources basically produce this kind of non-localized fringes. Okay. Similarly, in contrast to the non-localized fringes, we are going to discuss now the localized fringes. Localized means the fringes are found at a particular position. It means that we cannot see the localized fringes all over the space. Okay, because as the name from the name itself, we can see that these fringes are localized, means they are at a particular position or at a particular points. These fringes are found in the space. So if you are going to put the screen at a particular position, then only we see the interference pattern. Suppose I am going to put the screen here, then only we see the interference pattern at this position. If you are going to move the screen here or here, then we don't see any interference pattern. So such kind of fringes is known as the localized fringes. So localized fringes can be seen at a particular position uh, of this space. Okay. So these localized fringes, maybe we can see near to the, suppose in the thin film interferometer, this is the light is reflected and transmitted. So either we can see at this region or we can see at the infinity. Whether so at both the cases, these fringes are the called as a localized fringes. And mostly the localized fringes are found by using the extended source. Extended source means the source consists of array of the point sources. That source basically originally produces the localized fringes, but also using the point source, line source can also be used to produce the localized fringes. So these are the basic difference between the localization of the interference fringes, non-localized and localized fringes. So now we are going to discuss the next topic that is based on the interferometer we have discussed, that is called the multiple beam interferometry. So anybody has any questions so far? They can ask. Doubt? If there is no question, so let's discuss the next topic. That is multiple beam interferometry. So from the name itself, you can see that earlier we have discussed the interferometer where we have taken only two coherent sources or two coherent light beam which are going to get superimposed and we see the interference pattern. But now we are going to discuss interferometer or a device which is used to produce the multiple beam, and these multiple coherent sources are get superimposed and we see the interference pattern. Okay. So For this kind of manifold Wigner interference, let's consider this can be produced by a thin film. So let's consider a parallel thin film. Okay, so I'm going to make it here. A parallel thin film. So the parallel thin film means the thickness of the film is constant all over from here top to the bottom. So for this, let's consider a incident light of the amplitude naught. So light is incident on this incident light. So the field complex field of this light is given by E, and the amplitude of this light is given by E naught. Okay. So basically we should write the so this is the complex field which are incident on this, and this field having the amplitude E naught. So E naught is the amplitude of this incident light. So we know that when the light is incident on this thin film, so some part of the light will be reflected and some part of the light will be transmitted. Okay. It means that this thin film having the we have to describe we have to consider some coefficient of the reflection coefficient and the transmission coefficient. Accordingly, value of this coefficient, that much amount of the light will be reflected and that much amount of the light will be transmitted. That will be defined by the coefficients, reflection coefficient and the transmission coefficient of the thin film. So we know that light will be incident on this, so it will be reflected. So the reflected, let's say the reflected from this surface, the light will be reflected from this surface having the coefficient of reflection R. R is the reflection coefficient from this surface, and so the amplitude of this light will be E naught into R. Okay, but we know that the light will also transmit. Okay? So light will transmit like this. So we have to also describe the transmission coefficient. So the transmission coefficient at this surface inside this film is T. If T is the transmission coefficient of this thin film, so the amplitude of this transmitted light is given by E naught into T. Okay. So this is the important thing you have to understand. We have the input light E naught. It is reflected at this point, and reflection coefficient is R, so E naught R amplitude, and the transmitted light will having the transmission coefficient T. So the transmitted light having the amplitude E naught into T. Then what will happen? Then again the light will be reflected from the back side. Okay, so means light will be again reflected from this surface, right? That here and the boundary. So from here also light will be reflected, and the reflection coefficient from this surface, if the light is reflecting from inside to the thin film, then the reflection coefficient is R prime. And if the light is reflecting from the outer side, that is coefficient is R. The light is reflecting inside, then the reflection coefficient is R prime. So what is the amplitude of this light? So amplitude of this light will be E naught E, that is the light is coming, and then reflection coefficient from this surface will be R prime. Okay. Now what will happen? Again, this light will be at this point, and then it will be transmitted and it again reflected. Okay. So let's this point. So light will be again reflected, transmitted, and again it will be reflected like this. So we know that the light which is transmitted, the transmission coefficient inside the film is T, and transmission coefficient of the light which is transmitted into this side will be T prime. So the coefficient of the light, here we can write the amplitude of this light will be E naught T R prime into T prime. Okay, so we see that the T and T prime is the transmission coefficient. So light is going outside to the thin film. So the amplitude of this light will be E naught T R prime, because this is the light is coming reaching here, and then the transmission coefficient at this point, and it will be T prime. And the light which are again reflecting from this point to this, with having the reflection coefficient is R prime. Okay, so the amplitude of this light will be E naught T R prime square. Because light is reflecting inside, so it will be R prime into R prime will be R square. So E naught T R prime square. Okay. Now you see that at this point, light, this light will also transmit like this. Okay. So what is the magnitude of this light? Transmitted light, it will be E naught T into T prime. The light is transmitting outside, so the transmission coefficient is T prime, and if light is transmitting inside the film, so the transmission coefficient is T. Similarly, this light will again transmit like this. So the amplitude of this light will be E naught T R prime square and then T prime. So similarly, again, light will be reflected at this point, and then again reflected at this point and transmitted at this point. So this process will continue if we have the large length of the film. So this process will continue. So we see that we are getting multiple reflected light and multiple transmitted light, and similarly one can write the amplitude of this reflected and transmitted light. Okay. So reflective index we can define of this film is this side is N1, this side is N2, and this side is the film reflective index is NF, where the N1 is equal to N2. Okay. So what? So we know that we have here multiple reflected rays, and these rays are parallel. You can see they are parallel, as we have seen in the thin film we have discussed. So all the reflected light as well as all the transmitted light, they are parallel light, so they are not going to meet. They will meet at the infinity, and we cannot reach to the infinity. So what we have to do? We have to use a convex lens. We have to use here a convex lens like this, and this light, this reflected light will be captured, will be passes through the convex lens, and they are going to meet a particular point. At the focus, this is the point P. So all these rays which are transmitted through this convex lens, now they are going to meet at the focal point, and that is the at the point P. And then here at this point we see the superposition of this light wave, and we see the interference pattern. Okay. So any questions so far here? Any doubt? Anybody has? Anybody has any question?
सर इसमें लाइट की इंटेंसिटी पे
Yes.
हेलो
Yes.
सर इसमें लाइट की इंटेंसिटी पे कोई फर्क पड़ेगा क्या? जैसे कितनी बार तो रिफ्लेक्ट हो रहा है, कितनी बार ट्रांसमिशन हो रहा है?
Yes, yes, of course. Light intensity will be decreased as there will be multiple reflection and transmission. So as we can see that here, let's say this is the first reflected light, this is the second, this is the third, fourth. Of course, and this is the fifth. Suppose the lowest amplitude of the light have this light, and the maximum light amplitude will be this light. Okay. Of course, the amplitude of this reflected light will be going to decrease from here to here, and also the transmitted light amplitude will be maximum in this case, and then it will be lower to this, lower, and minimum will be at this point. Yes, there will be a difference. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the difference in, we can calculate now the optical part difference, and if you calculate the optical part difference, then one can uh, describe the maxima, position of the maxima and position of the minima. Okay, that we know that if the optical part difference is equal to m lambda, our optical part difference is equal to m plus half lambda. So accordingly, we will see the maxima position and the minima position. And also one can calculate the optical part difference, which we have already discussed how to calculate the optical part difference in the thin film. We have discussed the thin film interference pattern, right? So I'm going to write the expression of the optical part difference as we have discussed earlier. So the optical part difference, that is known as OPD, is given by 2 NFD. 2 NF is the thickness of the film, D is the thickness, and cos, cosine, theta t. Theta t is the angular transmission, and D is the thickness of this film, and F is the refractive. Okay, so if you know the optical part difference, so we can also calculate the optical phase difference, as we know the relation of optical phase difference. Delta is given by T naught into delta. Delta is nothing but the optical part difference. So we know that also the light which is reflected from this front surface, and light which is reflecting from the bottom surface of this thin film, they will have the extra pi phase difference, because we know that there will be pi phase difference when the light will be reflected from this surface or in compared to this surface. So extra pi phase difference will have. It means that the we know that reflection coefficient from this surface is r, and the reflection coefficient from this surface is r prime. So in this way, the r is equal to minus r prime, because of the this light is having extra pi phase difference compared to this. R is equal to r minus r prime. This is the relation we can see in this delta interference interferometer. So that we will consider it. So also there are two components we can see. The two components of the incident light. So this is the incident amplitude, and this is having the two components. One component is perpendicular to the plane of incidence, and one component is parallel to the plane of incidence. And I have discussed earlier what is the plane of incidence. Okay, so let me just briefly describe here what is the plane of incidence, and then we'll see the you can understand what is the perpendicular component and what is the parallel component. So I'm going to erase this because this is not needed, because we know we can use this. So suppose this is the your thin film. Okay, this is the thin film of this thickness, and this is the surface. This is the bottom side. Okay, so light is incident on this like this, right? So this is the plane. This plane is known as the plane of incidence. Plane of incidence. And if this the light is coming, this light is having amplitude E. Okay, so we can break it into two components. One is perpendicular to this plane. This plane is, let's consider like this. So the perpendicular component will be like this. This arrow. So the perpendicular component is plane of parallel perpendicular to the plane of incidence. So the perpendicular component is out of the board. We can consider. So let's make this plane perpendicular component, perpendicular, and parallel component will be like this inside the plane of incidence, parallel to the plane of incidence. So let's consider like this. So it will be equal. So this component will describe the basic difference, whether there will be pi phase difference or not. Okay. So now let's consider the in this figure we can see that each internal reflection, the component of the field parallel to the plane of incidence changes phase by either 0 or pi, depending upon the internal incident angle. So if theta I is less than theta c, what is theta c? Theta c is the critical angle and theta I is the angle of incidence. So the parallel field E parallel will give 0 or pi phase difference. Okay. While if you consider the component of the field which are perpendicular to the plane of incidence, this will suffer no change in the phase or internal reflection. So for the E perpendicular, the phase change is there is no phase change. No phase change. On the internal reflection. Internal reflection means when the light is reflecting from this surface to here, and again this light is reflected from this surface to here. So the internal reflection means the light is reflected internally at this surface, at this surface, this surface, this surface. So there will be extra pi phase difference. But in the case of E perpendicular, when theta I is less than theta c, then there is no phase change. But in the case of the parallel field, we see there is a phase change of pi or 0, depending upon the condition of the theta I. So now let's consider the first special case. The first special case we can consider is that when optical path difference, that is delta is equal to m lambda is 1. When OPD equal to m lambda, this is the first case. So what will happen in this case? So important point will happen in this case is that the second, third, fourth, and successive wave will be in the phase at P. Second, third, fourth. What is the meaning of second? So this is the first wave. This is the second wave, second light. You can see this is the third, this is fourth, this is the fifth. So in the case of this m lambda, this second, third, fourth, fifth, all the successive waves will be, so I can write here second, third, fourth, dot dot dot. They are all in phase. Where? At point P. While the first ray will be out of phase at point P. So all this second, third, they are in phase together, and compared to this wave, first ray will be out of phase to this wave at point P. So what will happen? So we can see that since the waves even are, because of its reflection at this top, okay, surface of the film will be out of phase by 180 degrees with respect to all other waves. So the phase shift is embodied in the fact that r is equal to minus r prime, and r prime occurs only in the odd powers. Okay, so in this way we can write the summation of the scalar amplitude. All the amplitude we can write at the point P. So the amplitude at the point P can be written as of the reflected light. So of reflected light is given by E naught R. E naught is the incident amplitude, and here R is suffixed at the bottom. Thus, it is just representing that we are considering the reflected light. So E naught R is equal to, it will be the first light E naught R, then second amplitude, this one E naught T, so T R prime and T. So it will be T square. Sorry, here it is T prime. So E naught T R prime T prime. Then amplitude of this third one plus E naught T R prime square, then R prime cube, that will be 2 carbon reflection. What will come here? And then T prime plus dot dot dot. Now we can take the common, which is common, and we can replace R is equal to R prime. R is equal to minus R prime. So we can write this equation. So I think we are going to close the session because the time is over. So we continue the discussion over this multiple in the next class. So if anybody has any questions, so they can.